Hear me out. No matter how experienced and disciplined you are as a trader, there is a temptation to look to pick a top or a bottom in the market when you see a sharp move in one direction or the other. And unless you get lucky in your timing, your trade is based on hope, and hope has no place in the trading dictionary. It's not a strategy. And that's why I'm issuing my warning to all traders. Don't look to pick a top or a bottom until AT, which is the Amazing Trader, tells you to do so. So let's take a look at the following and see how you can take that temptation, turn it into a trading opportunity where the odds are seen on your side. The reality of trading is most traders want to be swing traders. In other words, they want to buy low and sell high. It's human nature. It's trader's nature. And no matter how you try it, that is going to be the temptation whenever a currency or any instrument is moving down sharply or moving up, is to look for a bottom or look for a top. But as I've said many times, if you do it before the Amazing Trader tells you to do so, you're running a risk of being premature and getting stopped out. So let's take a look at charts from October 28, 2022. Right now it's Saturday the 29th, so all markets are closed. And although I'm doing this after the fact, what I'm going to show you is tradable. I would not show it if it wasn't tradable in real time when it occurred. So let's look at the euro dollar, for example. You see it coming down over here. And along the way, we had these little spike ups where you could have made a little money trading from the bottom, but the bottom had not been reached. And there's a reason why the bottom hasn't been reached. I'll explain in our trading guide. But what I want to focus is on the real bottom over here. Because as I said, you don't want to look for a bottom until the Amazing Trader tells you so and confirms it. And when that happens, you take what's probably a low probability trade and turn it to a high probability trade. It's all explained in our trading guide, which covers in detail when an episode to the downside is ending and when it's turning the other way. First sign here, you see this is a directional indicator. It's really, directional indicator is really drawn off the lower high of a day. But this one is close enough. Now, the old lines have disappeared because we're farther away. So I used a 15-minute chart. You'll see here was your low of the day right over here. And here was that low I just showed you in a 5-minute chart. So there was a line here and a line here. When that happens, it's often an indication of a turn in the market. Now, if you needed further confirmation, you would have gone to a 15-minute chart. And at that point, once this line over here was broken by this, you would have gone into a buy mode because it's our bounce strategy. And that bounce strategy, once this red line was confirmed, you would have gone long. So in either cases, you had support from an older line, which is the low of the day. You had a directional indicator. You had a bounce trade on a 15-minute chart. Even on a 5-minute chart, we prefer a 15-minute chart for a bounce trade. In either case, you would have gone from a sell mode into a buy mode because this move to the downside was likely over. And it was all sitting here staring you in the face with this directional indicator. And you had at least 15 minutes waiting for this line to get confirmed. So there was plenty of time to go. Then you had this little retracement down, a failure here, and we moved to the upside. This produced at least a 2.5 to 1 risk reward, but you stop either below this line here or below, preferably low of the day. And I think it was no more than about 10 pips. And we got all the way up until we hit this Amazing Trader line. So the whole takeaway here is not to look for a low or a high before you get real confirmation by the Amazing Trader. If you notice all these bounces here, they never, this, for example, this one here didn't come close to this Amazing Trader line, which would have had to been taken out to confirm that this was in fact the low. So that's your key takeaway. Let's take a look at something else here. The winner on this day were the stock indices. This is an SPX 500 chart. And look how all these red lines are dominating. If you were going to a 15-minute chart, again, all these red lines are dominating. Nowhere, once we bottomed over here, was there any indication that the high was in. And therefore, the Amazing Trader is giving you two choices. If you don't want to chase it, you stay flat. Or if you want to go with the flow, you would buy with a stop below one of the Amazing Trader lines. But in contrast to the euro dollar, which formed that bottom, and signaled that the move to the downside was likely over, and if you went long, the odds were in your favor. And I explained why, because we had a directional indicator, we failed at the low, and we also had a bounce trade using a 15-minute chart, all explained in our trading guide. Very logical and something you can put into action. But by contrast, in the SPX 500, there was no indication from the Amazing Trader that you should be looking to pick a top. And you could have created a piece of the action by buying at any of these levels, or if you go to a 5-minute chart, even more, any of these levels with a stop below the most recent Amazing Trader line. We call it a preceding line. You would have been long and grabbed some of the action to the upside. So you can see the contrast here. There's no indication of a top here, and therefore you either go long, or if you don't want to chase it, go flat. On the other hand, in the euro dollar, there was no indication, or rather confirmation, that this episode of move to the downside was over until we failed at this line over here. We formed this directional indicator from these two lines. At this point, the odds had tilted the other way. So being in sync with the current flows and not picking a top or bottom until the Amazing Trader tells you so, now you understand why I say that, can put you in a position where you can get a really good risk reward and you're trading with the odds on your favor rather than hoping, and hope shouldn't be in your dictionary, that you caught the bottom or the top. Take some of the anxiety out of trading, you sit back and let the market do the work. So that's what I mean by don't look to pick a top or bottom until the Amazing Trader tells you to do so. It's all explained to subscribers in our trading guide. And for all traders, I can only emphasize, I can't trade without the Amazing Trader. And I'm sure once you get access to it, you're going to feel the same way. So feel free to sign up for one of our programs, or you can contact me for details, jay@theamazingtrader.com.